Rocks just killed a admiral. Yes, a man on the same level as Aokiji, Kizaru, and Akainu pre-time skip, and Greenbow and Fujitora post-time skip, and Sengoku and Kong in their prime as well. So we can't deny his true power. Now the reason why I left out Garp, because to me Garp is Pirate King level. You went up against Roger, I gotta give you that Garp. And the others, there is some moments where you could put them on extreme level, like of course Akainu as a fleet admiral and Sengoku's fleet admiral could definitely be Yonko level, but I'm just talking about the admiral position. Rocks killing an admiral definitely deserves praise, especially when I used to give praise to Akano as the only top tier to defeat another top tier in a 1v1 battle when he defeated Aokiji during the time skip in a battle that took 10 days. And just recently, Shanks actually defeated Loki in the past, who seemingly is a Conqueror's Haki coded user with legendary Delphi. So Shanks and Akano's feats are cool, but still below Rock when it comes to Rocks having a body. Yeah, he smoked on that admiral pack. Now when we look at Roger's feats, there are some holes there, starting off with Ed War versus Shiki, a storm being involved, or him stealing the road poneglyph from Big Mom. Like, why don't you just be here and just take it? Also, like, was there even a fight? Like, some people say that he overpowered her, some people say that he snuck in and grabbed it. So that is definitely interesting. Even fighting Whitebeard for 3 days, which is a feat because Whitebeard in his prime is disgustingly powerful with Conqueror's Haki coding and their Gurren no Mi. But the fact is, Roger fighting Whitebeard for 3 days to a stalemate does lead to matches because there was no clear-cut winner. And yes, it was cool when he bodied Odin with Divine Departure and Shanks doing the same attack versus Eustace Kid and Killer, coming off their impressive wins in Wano. It didn't matter, they got one-shotted. Does hype up Roger's technique. Hey, even Rayleigh's feats of fighting Kizaru pre-time skip and scaring a Yonko Blackbeard, though he did admit Blackbeard would have won because of his age, as well as Copper and Elbaf with Conqueror's Haki coding, does make Roger look like a complete beast. But how does that hold up with Roxy Xebec's greatness so far? So like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notification as we do a deep dive on Rox and his power and how he could be stronger than Goldie Roger, if I'm being completely honest. Now the first obvious hint of Rox being stronger than Goldie Roger and Rox's power in general is Sengoku saying it took Garp teaming up with a pirate, something he thought he would never do, to take down Roxy Xebec. Yes, you heard that right. Garp teamed up with the Pirate King Goldie Roger to take down Roxy Xebec. That is 2 Pirate King level characters. Now, some might argue and say that Roger and Garp were not at their peak yet. They weren't Pirate King level yet. Still, that's Roger and Garp at a young age with youth and potential. And if I'm being honest, I do think they were pretty close to their prime during God Valley. I think if it was during the Reverie where Rox killed an admiral, they could then look like it's not their peak. But honestly, yes, it looks like Rox was reaching his peak faster than Roger and Garp, but I do think Roger and Garp eventually by God Valley were close to the peak, if not at their peak, guys, if I'm being honest. So I do want to say that this was the first obvious hint that Sengoku was saying Rox is the strongest pirate since Joy Boy. Then there's the fact that Sengoku said Rox was Roger's strongest rival, greatest rival. This automatically puts him above Primebeard, which we all respect Primebeard because of Marineford. When we saw an old and sick Whitebeard do the destruction he did at Marineford, that's when we had to give respect to his prime self, and it definitely lived up to the hype when he went against Roger for 3 days. And Roger, of course, is the Pirate King, the goat of all goats when it comes to pirates in that era. So I do gotta say this, the fact that Rox is automatically above Primebeard, but we should have knew that because Whitebeard was his underling on the Rox Pirates. And the fact that there's also Prime Garp, who's a monster in his own right, went up against Roger so many times. Rox automatically being above Garp when it comes to that rivalry shows some insane power, because Primebeard and Garp's level, from what we know, like, is insanely powerful. So this kind of means Rox is probably above Roger, because Roger in his prime is around the same level as Prime Garp and Primebeard. I know people are like, who the hell's Primebeard? I'm talking about Whitebeard, guys. Come on. You guys should have knew that by now. Now, I do got to mention Kaido's top 5. Kaido had a top 5 during the beginning of the rooftop that is still used to this current story in Elbaf. Yeah, that's arcs ago, and still people mention it as well. Well, because the guys in the top 5 of Kaido were legitimate. Let's be honest here. We have Shanks, who we saw what he did in Egghead Island. We have Kuzuki Ono, we saw what he did in Wano. And then we, of course, have guys like Roger and Whitebeard, who we saw what they did in Odin's flashback, and Roxy Xebec, who we just saw what he did in the last couple chapters. So this top 5 from Kaido is legitimate and definitely shows that they are around the same level in a sense. Though there is a ranking in that top 5. Let's be honest here. Everyone knows Odin is last. Everyone knows Odin's last. And then Shanks is probably on the bottom half of that list as well. That's when it gets to Roger, Whitebeard, and Rox. That's when the debates really starts to happen. But of course, Rox sometimes is looked at number 1. Sometimes Roger's looked at number 1. So it's definitely, some people say Whitebeard's number 1 is the world's strongest man. Regardless, that top 5 is legitimate in putting these guys at monstrous levels. And then the fact that Kaido said Haki transcends all when alluding to Roger becoming Pirate King with no Delphoid ability, to me, this really is a big deal because, like, let's be honest here. Does he view Roger above Rox from this statement? Why not say that Rox was the king, the true king, and his Haki transcended all? Like, why not say that? Why allude to Roger being the goat of all goats? It's like Kaido after God Valley changed his perspective. And we know during the beginning of God Valley, he was like looking at Roger as like some beef there, some rivalry there. So I do want to say this, Kaido's respect to Roger does look to see more than Rox. So yes, there's evidence to Rox being stronger than Roger, but Kaido being, of course, on the Rox Pirates and still showing so much love to Roger is telling, guys. I have to admit it. Then, of course, there's Big Mom, and now Big Mom insulted Rox a lot of times, but let's be honest here. She definitely had her own goals of being the top dog, Pirate King. So, of course, she wouldn't respect Rox like most of the other Rox Pirates. But when it comes to Roger taking her road poneglyph, and then, of course, her in her, like, about to die, mentioning Roger. Why not mention Rox? Rox passed away on God Valley. Like, why mention Roger, the Pirate King, who got the One Piece treasure? It's like the respect for Roger is more than the respect for Rox. Even the way they treat their enemy over their captain. So does that mean, is this show maybe just how bad Rox was, how evil he was, or maybe more so how powerful Roger was? Like, they respect it. Even Shiki, like Shiki says, we don't follow Rox, like we don't follow this fool, we're all equals here, like pretty much dissing Rox. But then we see Shiki begging Roger to join him. Like, of course, some people look at it like, where Shiki did ask Roger to be his right-hand man, though he didn't really ask him to be his captain, while Rox did become his captain. But still, he wanted Roger on his side. He respected Roger's power, and when Roger turned himself in, he went to Marineford and destroyed half of it. It took Sengoku and Garp teaming up to destroy Shiki. All I'm gonna say is this, guys. Shiki looked to have a lot of respect for Roger, more so than Rox, his captain. So this is very telling because Shiki's one of the OG Rox pirates. We've seen this in the recent flashback. Now, all that is just pretty much lore and context and narrative. But let's look at the feats, the hard, cold facts of what's happening in front of our eyes. The first time we see Rox, he's cutting a mountain casually. Now, some people will be like, okay, cutting a mountain is pretty cool. Law did it in Punk Hazard. It's a pretty cool feat. On a similar level of like Miyok cutting an iceberg and Marineford. Like, people love these feats. Even Zoro cutting Pika up. Like, people love these huge, drastic feats. Of course, Luffy punching through Onigashima. Like, everyone looked at him as island level. But then people look like at the Seraphim and then see the Seraphim cutting a bit of Amazon Lily. Like, okay, is this really a big deal by Rox cutting up that mountain? Well, let me give Rox some credit. It's not just a regular mountain, guys. It's an Elbaf mountain. Yes, Elbaf, where everything is larger. And I ain't talking about Texas. So put some respect on Rox's name. That's all I'm going to say with that feat. Now, some people also like to talk about Loki and how Rox did his first ever attack, actual attack, us seeing it, against Loki with his unique swordsmanship that has like a hammer cannon, like where he just blasts everything. It was pretty cool to see Rox do this to Loki, but Loki was a kid. Let's keep it real. Loki was a kid. Yes, he's a special kid, of course. He's like one of those monsters like Big Mom as a kid, Odin. Of course, we get it. Loki's a beast because of his lineage, but still, at the end of the day, like, Rox is in his prime adult age and Loki's a kid. So that low diff really doesn't weigh a lot. I know Loki's a monster now, conquers Aki coding and legendary Delphoid, but that's now. So yeah, it's like, come on, it's a good feat in a sense of like seeing how Rox fights and all, but it's not really anything we engage off of. Some would even say what we've seen recently when it comes to Rox and the cold hard facts could even lessen Rox's power, because Rox 56 years ago knew Imu was stronger than him, and we don't know Imu's true power. Of course, I do think Imu is around the same level as Joy Boy, so I don't think it's a big deal Rox knowing he's weaker than Imu. And of course, 18 years later, he went to God Valley. He was way above Yonko level Rox on God Valley. Yes, he killed an admiral 18 and 56 years ago, but 38 years ago is when Rox was really in his peak, and maybe he would have had a different stance when it comes to fighting Imu. The fact that he did what he did against the Celestial Dragon, Holy Knights, the Marines, on God Valley, I think Rox was ready to fight Imu now. I think he wouldn't have backed down on God Valley like he did 18 years ago during the Reverie. So that's my thoughts on Rox and the whole Imu debate there when it comes to him backing down and not wanting to fight yet, and said he would come back. Rox was planning to come back and fight, so I think Rox knew he wasn't on Imu level, but he's close. He just needs to do a few more things to get to that point. Some would even mention Harold versus Rox, Xebec, that Conqueror-Saki clash, and we see a lot of Conqueror-Saki clash in the story. But to me, the one that really shows my like attention is Whitebeard versus Roger. Like that Conqueror-Saki clash was insane. They weren't touching. Oda noticed it. We get something similar here with Harold and Rox, but let's be honest here. I think it would have been more drastic if it was a different guy other than Harold. Yes, Harold's strong with Conqueror-Saki coding and Ancient Giant DNA, but let's be honest here. His power is Shattered Mystery as well, guys. I think if it was a Whitebeard Roger level character, the blast would have been exactly like it. But I still think it's cool having Conqueror-Saki coding touches like that. Honestly, it's pretty cool. It kind of reminded me of the clash of like Kaido and Luffy on the rooftop. Like that's what I got the vibe of. And then we also have to mention Rox winning those Davy back fights to get Whitebeard, Cheeky, Stussy, Wang Ji, who I think is really strong, had Power Island on a stronghold, and Blackbeard had to team with Law and Kobe to take that down. Don Marlin from the West Blue, maybe connections to Capone, and then of course Gang Zhui, maybe has connections to Wang Ji, who knows. But it's a testament to his power. Even if it was competitions and not actual fighting for these crewmates, there was a boxing competition we saw when it comes to Luffy versus Foxy, Afro Luffy, shout out to Afro Luffy. So definitely, and we see Rox actually have the boxing glove. So give respect that how he got his crew was by winning. Winning is a big deal, and I think Rox is a winner. So guys, gotta give respect to respect is due. And the fact that he ran away from Imu, it kind of gave me Blackbeard vibes, how Blackbeard chooses his fights wisely. So I gotta give respect to respect is due when it comes to Rox. Let's be honest here, Rox hasn't really shown us as much as Roger has in power yet, keyword yet. There's still a lot of more things to see. Of course, his 6 years as the Rox Pirates, and then of course God Valley, that's going to really make us look at Rox different. But his lore does seem to point out the fact that he's stronger than Roger so far in the story. But of course, this is just the current newest evidence and can be changed easily. The newest One Piece manga installments can easily change it in a heartbeat. So definitely take this video with a grain of salt. If anything new comes out, because I'm dropping this video pretty early, I know a chapter's coming out, definitely cut me some slack, guys, because this is based off 1155. If 1156 shows Rox doing something crazier, we'll see. Maybe it'll help this video, maybe it'll hurt this video. But this is my thoughts on Rox being stronger than Roger currently.